So, welcome back. I think today is the fourth class of GIS of this semester. So today's topic, we are going to skip this module 1, advantages and applications of GIS. We will come back to that at the end of this semester. Okay. I'm going to make some changes in this year. So we're going to skip that part and we will start with the representation of reality and then abstraction and generalization of real world. That is module 2. So in the remaining part of module 1, we have the advantages of GIS, etc. I will give you the slides, go through them so they are not very that difficult to understand. And then applications of GIS, we will come back to this. Let's talk with to discuss this 5 aims of applied GIS as part of module 1. There are 5 aims involved in applying GIS. And the first thing that we do is mapping. We map different areas of the Earth's surface. We map different entities of our surrounding world. We map, what do you mean by we map different entities? Let's say, for example, you map only the road network of Dhaka city. So if you map only the road network, you are not really mapping the entire surface of Earth or entire surface of Dhaka city. What you are doing is you are picking up a single entity or a single object and trying to map it out. So that's why I say entity, okay, instead of the surface. On the other hand, if you are trying to map building footprints of Dhaka city, so building footprints, they are covering most of the area of Dhaka or the Dhaka city. So from that aspect, you can say that, all right, we are mapping the surface of Earth. Although between these buildings, we obviously have some gaps. Some spaces are left out from mapping. However, most of the area under study or investigation is mapped out. So we can say that it's the surface, that is not the entities. And whenever you are asking for a map, please be careful. Okay. So I will give you an example why you have to be careful. Day before yesterday, a friend of mine asked me, do you have any GIS map of Dhaka? So Dhaka could have multiple scales or could have multiple boundaries. For example, Dhaka itself, division, and then there is district of Dhaka. Then there is the DMDP area of Dhaka. So DMDP is Metropolitan Area Development Plan. And there is DMA, Dhaka Metropolitan Area. And there is Dhaka North City Corporation, South City Corporation, Dhaka City Corporation. There are multiple boundaries. So my friend, he wasn't really exact. So I asked him back, what map of Dhaka do you want? He said, then I said, do you like DMDP or DMA? He said, I like DMDP. I said, okay. Then I sent him the DMDP map of Dhaka. And then he said, where are the buildings? Okay, so my friend is an architect, so he is concerned with the buildings. And then after looking into my data, he said, where are the buildings? I said, why do you ask for buildings? This is the boundary file of DMDP. Why should it have any buildings? He said, I'm looking for the building footprints in Dhaka city. So you see there is a gap between the supply and demand or miscommunication between two stakeholders of the same problem. So he is supposed to ask me, do you have any building footprint map of Dhaka city? But he unintentionally omitted the first part, the footprint, and thus there was a gap in data. So whenever you are collecting any data from other sources, you have to be very, very precise. What do you really want? Okay. So my friend didn't really buy any data from me, but just imagine what if he was purchasing the data from Rajuk or Sparso or any other agencies or organization. He would have spent a few thousand taka or even more than that. Then at the end, he would have been disappointed by seeing the result that he got or the data that he received. So please be careful because in future you will be next year even. In fact, next year you will be using or you will be doing the projects, and in projects you might have to purchase multiple data. So please be careful. Second thing that GIS is applied into is measuring. So we measure multiple things. We measure distances, we measure the rules, and so on. The third thing that we do is monitoring. So what sort of monitoring that we do? We monitor changes. So one very quick, easy example would be we monitor the changes of Dhaka city's urban area. Okay, so while you were saying that the urban area or the boundary of urban was such in 1990s, and now it became such in 2020 after 40 years, or sorry, 30 years. So what you are doing is you are measuring the changes, how much did it grow, as well as you are monitoring the changes. However, apart from the measuring, monitoring has another significance. And that is that by saying monitoring, you actually mean that you continuously have a closed looked into the matter. So that means when you are monitoring anything, let's say, for example, you are in an exam and I'm working as invigilator there. So at that time, I'm monitoring you. So it's a continuous phenomena. It's a continuous incident. Okay, you continuously observe something, that is called monitoring. Okay, and while measurement could be at any point of time, time is not relevant there. So that's why when you have only 2 points of time and then you find out the changes, we do not normally say that monitoring, we normally say that measurement. Okay, but then you are trying to find out the changes of urban areas for every year or every 5 years. So at that time, you might say that it's monitoring because you have more than 2 points of the time, and then you are, monitoring the changes or observing the changes. Okay, you are giving some time interval, coming back to the scope or coming back to the observation, leaving the observation, giving it another some time, the same interval as before, let's say 5 years, and coming back to it after 5 years and observing it again, see that is there anything changed. So that is monitoring. Okay. And the modeling is for making any prediction or making any evaluation. So for example, you say that in any case of fire, you want to find out any optimal route from BUP to say Mirpur fire station. Okay, so what would be the optimal route from Mirpur fire station to BUP? All right. So in any case of incident, so when I say in any case of incidents, there could be any incidents. That is what I mean. So that means at any point of time, this road, which is connecting Mirpur 12 to 10, could be closed. Okay, if it closed down, then what can you do? Which route can you use? And then at any point of time, the gate of NDC could be closed, could be locked down. So what can you do at that time? How can you respond? At any point of time, the gate of NDC and Shagufta could be closed to reach BUP. What can it be done at that time? So all these scenarios, all these if scenarios are taken into account, and then the solutions are given, and that is called modeling. Okay, By using modeling, you can find out the what if scenarios. By using modeling, you can predict the future. You can predict the trend. So in prediction, I mean by observing the past changes of urban areas, you can predict how the urban areas would be in 2050, for example. Okay, by monitoring the trends of the flooding of past, let's say 50 years, you could predict how the flooding would be frequent, how frequently would they occur in next 100 years. So that is modeling. And managing is to decide something. So based on all these things, based on mapping, based on measuring, monitoring, modeling, now you are managing things. You are deciding what to do. Okay, and then at the same time, you are also managing the data. Okay, the data, how to publish them, how to share them. Are we going to put the maps on the websites? Are we going to publish the results on web? Are we going to make a dashboard, like we have multiple dashboards of COVID-19 for Bangladesh now from different organizations? Okay, all of them are using this Esri ArcGIS dashboard, and all of them are making their own maps based on their data that they have gathered from multiple sources. So that is also part of management, applying them in management. So in the management part, the most significant one is decision making. How are we going to decide? What decision are you going to make based on the results of GIS? Seeing through the GIS, so this one we will discuss when we will be discussing the applications of GIS. For now, let's talk about the second module. Oh no, this is still the first module. Let me make it full screen. Sorry about that. So far we have talked about GI systems, right? So we didn't really talk about any GI science. The GI system, the difference between system and science is that one talks about technology and tools. So system emphasize on technology and tools available, nothing else. Okay, so that is the use or application of GIS technologies. So whenever you are talking about the things that you are using to solve anything or to do anything, that is tools. And when you are using GIS, GIS is acting like a tool. Okay, you are not studying it, you are just using it, sort of like a hammer. You have a hammer and then you are nailing some nails on a wall or on a cardboard, on a piece of wood. So at that point, that hammer is a tool. Okay, you are not studying how to make a hammer. You are not studying how a hammer should be. You are not studying how the length of the handle of the hammer should be, how it should be shaped. You do not study that. You are just using it. So that at that moment, that hammer is a tool. At this very moment, I'm sitting on a chair. Okay, so I'm just sitting on it and I'm talking to you. I'm giving you the lecture. So at this moment, this chair, the chair that I'm sitting on or you are sitting on, it's a tool because I'm using it. We're using it. Everyone is using it. Okay, so that's a tool, nothing else. But then if you go into, you know, the furniture studies or architect, then you will find that these people, what they are doing is they are studying how a chair should be. What should be the height of a chair? What should be the height of a handle? What should be the height of the platform that you sit on? What should be the you know, the height and inclination? What would give you the maximum comfort? Okay, so these are the things they are studying, and the moment they are studying these things, this is not system anymore. Now that one is becoming a field of study. And that way, when you are studying GIS, you are trying to understand the fundamental issues of GIS, and then the techniques, the theories involved in the tool GIS, that becomes a science, that becomes a field of study. So at that moment, you are not only learning how to nail down using a hammer or how to sit on a chair. You are how to connect different parts of the chair, how a chair should be, how much should it incline, all these things. Okay, all these nitty-gritty details. So in GIS as well, you are not only learning how to use the GIS, how to do the clicks, multiple clicks on multiple tools. If you do that, that is, you are learning only the tools. You are not learning the backgrounds. And what I want you to do in this course is to learn the science. Skip or not skip, do not focus on the tools part. And that is the mistake that my students are doing or have been doing, the previous students. They wanted or they want to learn the tools. They do not want to learn the science. Okay, look, if you know how to build a chair, if you know how to build a hammer, if you have